I'm not saying all of Gintama is like this, but I've definitely seen some clips in Gintama where I'm like,
where he has to kiss that thing.
I can't.
Yeah.
Like,
you knew Gintama's my favorite anime when I was coming on the show. How could you say
I'm not saying it's bad.
Coming to you from Crunchyroll HQ, this is the Anime Effect, where each week we bring you the amazing interviews, amazing interviews with people from across the world of anime, from directors to actors to artists, and so much more, to come on and talk about their anime faves.
Yeah.
It's pop culture with an anime lens.
Today is a first for the Anime Effect. It was very exciting. We are welcoming our first ever VTuber guest.
Woo, 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 woo.
It was only a matter of time,
Yes.
honestly. It was going to happen. Matara Kan is going to be talking to us today.
Very
I'm so
exciting.
excited. She was absolutely amazing. It was a great interview. And it was just really honest and unique, too, I think, which was a nice conversation to have. So
Yeah, she's real. She's really real.
Yeah, and it was a lot about going from what it's like, you know, transitioning from being a hardcore, like watching every show anime fan to just kind of a more casual fan watching the shows that just look interesting. And if that's not one that season, great.
Yeah, it's a journey a lot of us were on.
Absolutely.
Recently. Uh-huh.
So Matara shares what anime has meant to her and what types of shows are really resonating with her the most today. But before that, I'm your host, Haley Weisnant.
And I'm Leah President.
And together, let's just see how powerful the effect of anime
really is.
We are beyond excited to be here today with the world's most resilient VTuber, Matara Kan. Hello!
The pink-haired icon!
Hi, honey. I am Matara Kan of VShoujo, and I must be in luck today to be here on the Anime Effect. Hello! Nice to meet you.
Oh my God, we're so excited.
So excited to
awesome.
have you.
This is great because this is officially like our first VTuber. So.
I know.
Yes.
This is a
Oh
huge
my
moment,
Yeah.
guys. This is so much fun. But okay, so welcome again to the Anime Effect. We're so excited to have you. Listeners of the show know we love to kick off any guest episodes with the most precious question
The penultimate
of all
question.
time. I feel like it really does set the trend for
Yeah, it
taste.
does, it does.
But we want to know, what was your gateway anime?
Oh, my gateway anime. Do I have to name one?
Oh, you can dive in if you want.
If
right,
you want to,
all
if you
right.
like, I got 10, then we got 10. That's
Gateway
where we're
anime
going.
in the most sense of the word is Sailor Moon.
Mm-hmm.
But the anime that I remember for the first time, just looking at this and kind of knowing, oh, this is something a little different, Witch Hunter Robin. That was the one that kind of set the stage a little bit like, wait a second, huh?
I think that's the first mention of Witch Hunter Robin on the show.
I also think so. Yeah.
Look
It
at
was
that.
just
Look at that.
darker. It was grittier. That's when I kind of realized, oh, okay, things can be a little bit dramatic, a little bit spooky. I really
I
like
think
that.
that's so funny because everybody that we've talked to who's kind of grown up on the, you know, the like anime that we've all watched kind of thing, the Dragon Ball, the Sailor Moons, the Pokemon, like all of that stuff. It's like, okay, I didn't know that was anime when I was watching it. And then there's always another show that's like, okay, I get it.
Okay,
now.
yeah.
And it's
You
usually,
were
and
way
it's usually
different,
like
right.
in the weird, like dark, spooky corner. The cool thing about like Witch Hunter Robin though is that like I specifically remember that coming on like when Toonami was kind of like shifting gears, and it was like that and Wolf's Rain and like Blood Plus.
Oh, yeah,
and, like,
yeah.
So they were like,
Yes, you're naming like my faves right
they
there.
they were starting to do it's like this. You know what? Let's do some spooky. There's some spooky in here too.
But you are a little bit of a scaredy cat, right? I think I remember hearing you say that.
Yes, so I get scared very, very easy all the time. I also get spooked very easy. But I do like, I feel like when you're watching a lot of anime, right? As we said before, the Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball, you might not really realize or connect that it's anime. But then when you get into, I feel like eventually you get to a place where cartoons just kind of stay cartoons, they stay childish, and then you get into anime and it's like, wait a second, I'm watching a cartoon, but this is something very serious, very deep. So you get into those darker themes and you start realizing, wait, I can have, you know, a movie like Perfect Blue gets you just as intensely as any of the movies that movie inspired, right? I think it inspired Requiem for a Dream and things like that. So it will hit you just as hard, even though it's, a cartoon. Tee-hee.
Yeah, that's right. Don't leave your iPad babies unattended with just any anime movie, guys. The iPad babies are going to be traumatized by Perfect Blue.
For life. That's that's another time that Perfect Blue has come up on the show quite a bit too. Because I think people are kind of rediscovering that movie. So
yeah.
Right
it's in
now,
there's
my top
actually
10.
This big Y2K thing I've noticed where I was really there was a time when you start looking up at anime and you started finding the darker ones, right? So you look up Elfen Lied, Serial Experiment Slade, and now I'm seeing on TikTok the youth. The youth is watching.
Please do not go down this rabbit hole, please.
The Serial Experiments Lane is really retrending with a lot of the Y2K stuff. I think Boa, the band that did their opening song, just recently went viral on TikTok again. They're touring again. It's crazy to see anime from 20, 25 years ago kind of resurface.
Yeah, the impact. I think I saw them it was something 15 years or even maybe 20 years after they released some of their hits, they're now getting platinum records in the mail years and years after making those tracks. So crazy
That's
to see.
Such a cool moment though. So I want to shift gears a little bit. So when we were talking about you coming on the show, you were pretty honest and you were I kind of fell out with anime a bit. And you were you're back into it currently. Yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of fans can relate to. People leave and come back. I think we've all done it. I don't think it's a secret. I think we've all done it at some point. At some point you just drop off.
Yeah. Or even you become closeted about it for a while.
You just don't say anything about it. So, kind of share with us or talk to us about falling
the
out
journey.
And then trying to come back.
So this is a question I want to ask to all of you and also to the listeners. How much anime do you have to watch to be considered an anime fan? Right?
Yeah.
Where I feel that, 25 years ago or 20 years ago, we had access to a lot less anime, let's be honest.
Right.
And now, for example, it's so much easier to access anime with, by the way, Crunchyroll, wink, wink.
Plug.
It's just... Do you at a certain point, you kind of keep up with all the anime that you think is coming out. And now 10 years, 20 years later, there's 5 times more anime, 10 times. Right. I need to look at the statistics, but I think the amount of anime that's being released now and being accessible to an English-speaking audience is so much bigger. We also now have adult jobs with adult time, which is way less, right? There's the rise of YouTube. There's the rise of podcasting in a way that it's just hard to keep up with everything. And I feel just like anything in life, you kind of get into something and then you fall out of it a little bit. It's normal. But the reason I'm asking this question to you and the reason I'm asking this question to the listener is I have personally gone through a really big identity crisis in my life where at a certain point I felt am I a fake anime fan? Because I've watched all this anime from a long time ago. And right now, honestly, ever since quarantine, I haven't finished that much anime, as opposed to before when every new anime, you know what it's about, you read it all, and I kind of feel it's okay. You are still, I'd like to think, I'm still an anime fan. I'm still a fan of the medium, of the genre, of the everything, even if I am not caught up with Jujutsu Kaisen at the moment, and I won't be. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe we should change the phrase to anime supporter.
Right. Yeah.
It's I support it.
But I do think it's a good question because even if you are watching current shows, if you're I have a similar thing, but it's a little different in that I don't watch a lot of shonen series. So I didn't watch JJK. I haven't watched Naruto. I don't watch Dragon Ball. All of these, I know.
You and Nick. Anyway,
but it's
continue.
just
doesn't make you less of a fan.
Nick's watched way more shonen.
Oh,
than
he's
I
not
have.
watching Naruto though. That's what I'm.
No, but it's just those seem to be the pinnacles of how could you call yourself an anime fan if you haven't watched the basics or whatever.
So I'm watching my kissy love you shows. What do you mean?
Exactly. I think the point we're trying to get at here is the coming from the era of anime where it's essentially I was on the tail end of tape trading, and it's tape trading, or you had somebody that was just like, hey bro, I got this. Like,
and for the kids, what is that?
What is a tape recorder? What is a tape?
There were these things called VHS tapes, and you had to have a specific player called a VHS player.
They know Blu-rays. So it's like a bigger, chunkier Blu-ray.
It's a chunky Blu-ray.
It's a chunky with actual tape in it.
Right. So you had to have to say anyway. So I mean, that's different, right? Because we had to go. A lot of us had to go seek it out.
Yeah.
Whereas like now, to your point, the access is there.
Yeah.
But because the access is there, that also means people are finding different stuff.
And
they're supporting different things. Like there's different like anime is like a medium is it's so great because there's so many genres in it. You could just find what you want to support.
Yeah. And School babysitters never would have made it to Toonami.
Yeah. So there's like there's so like for me, like I cover a lot of the battle shonen stuff.
Right.
That's just kind of like where my pocket, like once I watched Dragon Ball, that was my pocket and I'm never leaving it.
Yeah.
But then there's stuff that I branched out and watched. Because I have the access.
Yeah.
And I don't think it makes you any less of a fan if you don't watch the JJKs or you've never seen the Narutos or you're not like 100% on One Piece where it is currently.
Right.
Like, like that becomes, because it's daunting, right? To say like, especially like, because I know there are some anime fans out there that like, me, I haven't finished One Piece or I'm not caught up on One Piece. So like, you're not caught up on One Piece? I was like, but then you also like... You know how many shows I have to watch in a given season?
Are you caught up on Apothecary Diaries? What's up?
Here's my thing. I think ultimately at the end of the day, the biggest qualifier for being an anime fan is, have you watched 2 anime titles, series, movies, whatever, and have you liked them?
Right.
Because if you've only watched one, then you're a fan of that series or title more than anime. But if you've watched 2 and you liked both of them, you're an anime fan.
Right.
Yeah. I think also, you know, when we're talking about like accessibility to a Western audience also, I think why it's becoming more prominent in pop culture is really because it's not really having to fight mainstream culture as much as it is now becoming integrated into it.
And I think that's a great point, because I think at some point there was the pushing against the mainstream culture, because we always because the champion for mainstream culture for anime for a long time was Dragon Ball, like Sailor Moon, like a couple other titles. And we were always as fans like pushing against the grain, like, no, this stuff is great. But now we don't have to do that.
Yeah, now everybody knows now.
Yeah,
everybody knows it's great.
Everyone knows.
Yeah, and we don't gatekeep here on the anime effect.
Not at all.
No.
I think genre, just to add, I feel like when 25 years ago, right, you kind of just watched a little bit of everything. You didn't really understand what was a shonen and things like that. But now, for example, I can say I like slice of life moe anime. If it's a slice of life, if it's moe, I'm gonna like it. I want to see high school girls at school being cute. That's my favorite part. I want to see Japanese daily life. I'm a weeb, as they say. And now I know that if we get to the anime where it's your typical, all right, it's a tournament and they're going to be fighting and they're going to be doing stuff, I probably am not interested in the, 100 episode long seasons, the Naruto-esque, Bleach-esque. I did it before. I think it's fun, but it's just not for me anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of finding, I think, also your niche of anime that you like, which now I feel you can have people who all watch so much anime and they haven't watched a single thing in common. Which I feel used to happen less and less and less and less and less. Where if you look back at people 20 years ago, everyone most likely watched the Cowboy Bebop, the Trigun, right? Things like that, Black Lagoon. There's a lot more kind of overlap in the watching as opposed to today.
Yeah, that is a great point.
That goes back to access.
The library.
Too, right?
The
because
access,
because of what we had available at the time, like everybody was watching the same thing.
Like Death Note. Everybody has seen some bit of Death Note at some point, right? Because it was just the anime at some point 20 years ago. You had to have seen Death Note.
Yeah, and even if you haven't seen it, like, you know certain lines from it. Like, I was actually really surprised a couple years back, like when the TikTok era sort of exploded, how many different audios were just random like cuts of different phrases from like Kira and like and I rewatched it again like not too long ago, and I was like, wait a second, like that's literally
the TikTok noise.
Well, and then you again bring up another great point. I mean, not only is it access, but it's also like, because the technology has evolved, right? Like a lot of us are reliving or re-experiencing, or people are experiencing for the first time these animes that, you know, we may have, you know, has been water cooler for us for, you know, 20 years or whatever. But then because there's so many new animes that are integrated into what is now like the current state of social media, they've never been without. So like, for instance, My Hero as an example, My Hero's never been without social media. That is a title that was born in the social media age, will continue to be ran in the social media age, and will continue to be talked about because of it. And it'll continue to be revisited because of that. And the technology and people discovering shows has just allowed.
I have a great example for this. Nana. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen TikTok, but Nana. I love Nana. I watch so much Nana. Lately, it's all over my TikTok, all over again. And people are going into these big dissections and discussions of Nana. The fashion is going trendy, and the music of the artists who covered Nana and Reira, they're going viral again. And it's just, it's true. When Nana first came out, we had forums and we had stuff like that. But in 2009, social media, right? The forums. I'm sorry, but if anybody is listening and you're over the age of 35, I know you feel a part. You feel a part of this discussion. But it's just now, you're right. There's so many of anime that is resurfacing now on TikTok, for example. And a lot of younger folks are finding it. And it's so cool. It's so cool to see people get into Nana right now, or get into stuff that we watched 20 years ago.
So I have a follow-up question, because you kind of mentioned you had watched more previously and then have kind of like slowed down a little bit. So do you ever feel like there's a stigma or anything associated with going from being kind of more of a quote-unquote hardcore fan to somebody that's maybe a little more casual, or has changed kind of your watching habits?
Great question. So I'll be honest. I do think there was a bigger stigma a few years ago, or at least in my head, it felt like there was a bigger stigma. Especially once VTubing started also kind of being more mainstream, and anime started being more mainstream, I do feel like older anime fans started giving more pushback in a way that they never did before. Like before, it didn't matter that I watched this anime. Now it went to, but you're not watching the real right now trendy anime.
Right.
I do think right now with just how, because it's been popular for a few years now, at least been mainstream for at least a decade plus, I feel now people are kind of more aware of, you like moe slice of life anime? Cool. You're not going to be watching this. You're not going to be watching that. I think now people just are less, I don't know what the word would be for this, but I guess less defending their, you have to do this to be an anime fan, right? Like, you could be an anime fan if you watch a ton of Agretsuko. It's a great anime, you know? There's nothing about Agretsuko that puts it any better or worse than Jujutsu Kaisen or other stuff. I think now that anime is just kind of more accepted, and there's a lot more casual fans of anime, there's less of this kind of wars going on.
It's
that's
become
how it feels
less
for me.
gatekeepy, right? Because people have discovered that there's going to be a range, right? Like, you're either going to be super hardcore about it, or you're just going to be, you know, kind of casual about it, and that's okay. And there's a lot of in between, and that's kind of the thing with just fandoms in general. Like, a lot of finding the mid tier,
the balance,
for people, or finding the balance, or like, hey, am I just a casual watcher? Am I really a hardcore? Like, you know, Matara, you brought up, like, you know, you started titles over the pandemic and didn't finish them. Well, like, for me, that was kind of my escape in the pandemic. Like, I watched so much anime during the pandemic. So, like, our scales of watching were different, but it doesn't make you or I any less of a fan because the range is different.
Yeah. And the thing is, I want to talk about horror again. Like, I consider myself like a horror fan. Like, video games, movies, novels. Like, I love horror. people will be like, well, have you seen like the 1920 silent film cut of like da-da-da-da-da? And like, no, I have not seen the original Nosferatu, but I enjoyed the new one.
The new one, yeah.
Like,
hey, you know, I actually have recently watched the original.
You did? I love the aesthetics of the original, but yeah.
We'll have to talk about
the
the new one later. I have thoughts on the new one, but we'll talk about that later.
Lily Rose Depp ate down boots.
I think another thing that maybe has contributed to the acceptance of the more casual fan, I'll say, is also kind of something, Matara, you said earlier, which is there's so much other content out in the world now. There's, just YouTube creators, there's Twitch streamers, there's VTubers, and like nobody can consume all of the content anymore.
Yeah.
There's just way too much. So I think it's a lot more acceptable to be like, oh yeah, I watched those 2 shows, but like I've been so busy catching up on XYZ that I haven't had time. And everybody's like, I get it. I get it.
And I think that's, that's starting to become a lot more acceptable within the community, right? For instance, like for winter break, I spent most of winter break catching up on shows that weren't anime because I watched so much anime through the course of the year. So like I didn't even really start watching anime again until like the last week of Christmas break because it was like really hardcore like watching it. Like I'd watch some episodes here and there. But I was so focused on like I need to fill in the gaps of the stuff that I didn't watch.
Yeah.
And that's okay. There's so much content. We've talked about on the show before. There's so much content within a season.
Yep.
We have at any given point, we have 70 shows we're promoting in a season. That's a lot.
Crazy.
It's a lot.
So much.
It's so much.
It is very much a lot, yes.
So trying to like watch and consume and be a part of like the big conversations. Like if you're not a part of the big JJK conversation, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because you're already watching something else over here that you really like. Maybe you're watching 100 Girlfriends and you're like, yeah, that's my pocket. That's my corner. Like, that's where I'm going to stay. And it's fine.
Speaking for Nick.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say pointed selection there.
Speaking for Nick.
So, Matara, are there any certain plot points or common tropes that you kind of no longer identify with in anime? I know you mentioned, like, you've done the battle shonens, you got in there, you see it.
Yeah. Great question. So, I feel like I've watched... Again, just like everybody, I watched a lot of anime. And at certain points, this is going to sound... So I do like some romance anime, but unfortunately, a lot of the kind of high school anime love tropes, I've gotten a little bit over. And I'll give this example. There's an anime I love called Holic. It's spelled XXX Holic.
Oh, yes.
I adore it. I don't even think I wrote it down for you.
Yeah.
It's Clamp. It's so good. And the main character, like whenever he sees, his girl, he just goes crazy about it. It's the hard eyes, it's the awooga, it's, and I have a little bit of the nosebleed. Right now, there's not really any tropes that I'm over except that one. But I'll tell you this, I think something like 10 years ago, I actually couldn't watch Kill la Kill because I felt at some point, I was like, oh, everyone's naked. But now I see it, everyone's naked. I'm like, okay, everyone's naked. But for some reason, at that time in my life, maybe my frontal lobe was developing or something. And I was like, I couldn't tell that it was a parody. So I was just like, no, I can't watch this. Everyone's naked all the time.
Everything's jiggling.
Everything's jiggling. Now I'm like, ooh. So it really depends on I think also what part of your life you're in. Because again, I've noticed myself with a lot of the tropes that, like I said, 10 years ago, I couldn't watch that. I'm sure in 5 years, I'm going to look at High School Love again for like, oh, that was so sweet. That is so cute. Other than that, one thing that I try to avoid now is just really, really long anime with a lot of filler, except I'll give the, Disastrous Life of Psyche K. I know it's got filler. I know it's this, but that I like. But because it also fits into the genre I like, right? The daily lives of high school kids doing whatever they're doing. I tend to avoid the really long anime. I'd much rather watch something that's like 12, 13 episodes, gets through a story. Because again, we're all busy, right? And then also, what if they go on hiatus? No. I can't do this.
The 15 cores.
Yeah. The
what
worst
about you
fear
guys?
of...
What are some of the tropes that you're kind of over, or maybe at this point in your life, you're less interested in?
I don't think I've fallen out of one. I mean, I did have a phase where I was like, man, I'm not going to watch as much shonen. I'm going to go find something else. But I think it's me more so gaining genres. I've really come to like very like almost like, I guess what I could say is like specialized kind of like romance, like Sign of Affection. Love that.
Yeah.
Super awesome. Slice of life stuff. Like, part of the reason like Slime is one of my favorite shows is because it gives you so much of it. Yes, it started out as an isekai, still is an isekai, but then it goes to where it's becoming more of a fantasy show. And then you also get the slice of life element. So it gives you a lot within that just one show.
Yeah.
So I've started like seeking out more genres to balance out the fact that I like watch so many like shows about people being punched in the face. So it's like, okay, I would rather just like have a chill time or like just kind of hang out. And then like I think I've really ramped up on sports anime recently too. And I think it's probably because of like my Haikyuu binge last year.
You just need one sports anime and then like suddenly it opens up all the world of sports anime.
You're just like, I gotta watch all the sports.
I can't watch real life sports, but I'll get my fix.
Like Kuroko's basketball is like one of my favorite ones, like
Let's go.
bar none. But that was really kind of where it stopped for me. And then like when I started watching Haikyuu, it was like, oh man, and then Blue Lock comes along and I'm just like, and so it's just like now I'm just like, okay, if it's a sports one and it looks good, I'm gonna give it a try. So that's kind of that's where I am like currently.
Say I think the one genre or kind of concept for me that I've tried numerous times and I haven't found that's worked for me is like more slapstick comedy. I enjoy comedy series, but when it's like really over the top, I haven't watched Gintama.
Oh
but
no!
Gintama is so fun.
Dude, I'm so over the top in the best way.
It is so fun.
But I think it's like, I'm not saying all of Gintama is like this, but I've definitely seen some clips in Gintama where I'm like,
where he has to kiss that thing.
I can't.
Yeah.
Like,
you knew Gintama's my favorite anime when I was coming on the show. How could you say
I'm not
this?
saying it's bad. I've definitely
I'm
seen really good clips too, but it's just one of those where that was like the example that came to my top of my head. Yes, things like that. Where
you want to talk about slapstick?
Yeah,
there you go.
It's just very slapstick, and I'm just like, I know people who love it, and it's just not. It's not for me.
Yeah, because it also fits into like that Nichijou vein where it's
love it.
There's just so much just random absurd, but it's like. I think the thing that sold me on that show was like I figured out that was the show where the principal was wrestling the deer. And I was like,
oh my gosh!
No. You're naming all my favorite, like Azumanga Daioh, Sayonara Zetsubusen.
Yes, Azumanga Daioh.
What about
but
you?
I'm also the kind of person where, like, if we relate it to real life shows, right? I like Community and I like Arrested Development. I feel like you can probably find some kind of counterpart, which I know this is a little bit like me jumping into the future. Don't worry, as a streamer, we do this a lot, okay? We are going to get back to the tropes that y'all don't like, but find a TV show that you like and then find the anime equivalent. That's also something that's helped me get back into anime.
Yeah.
It's a good show.
But anyway, sorry, back to you. So you don't like my favorite anime, Gintama. In fact, you hate it. You think it's the worst anime ever made.
To be fair, I've never actually given it a full shot.
You gotta give it a shot. You gotta give it a full shot.
Because some of the scenes are so wild out of context.
Ridiculous.
In 20, I promise, I raise my witness
ins and
now.
outs. In 2025,
I will give Gintama a shot.
All right, there
yes, we need an update then.
Please.
And your update.
Please.
All right, Leah, what about you?
I would say, like, for me, I like the trope for me that is out is like waifhood. I don't know how to describe it. Like characters that don't have flaws and are just like damsels in distress, essentially. Like I need characters with depth. Like I feel like sort of like the perfect girl trope or whatever. I think Danadan is like a good example of how it's kind of turning it on its head, where you have what's her name, the pink-haired character. We talked about it.
We did, and I can't remember. Continue.
But,
Everybody will know. Everybody will
let me pull it. But another example would be like in Buchigiri, like the lead character is like secretly evil, even though she like comes across as this like perfect bubbly girl. And we were talking about Psyche K, like the blue-haired girl from that, like how she's like also like scheming behind the scenes. Like I think that's so funny. Like I love that sort of like perfect girl trope is getting transformed. Love it so much.
Ira is the girl from Ira.
Ira.
Yeah, there we go.
The blue hair.
No,
sorry, the blue hair is from Psyche K. Ira had the pink hair, right?
Yeah.
From
Trying to remember the one
yeah.
in Psyche. Oh my goodness. That's also another problem sometimes because I have so many things. Teruhashi. There we go. That's another thing that sometimes makes me feel bad. I'm like, am I a fake fan if I forget someone's name?
No, I forget names all the
I'm
time.
horrible with anime names. So
Example
join the club.
I want to talk about, so when did you realize, or I guess, what about anime did you not even realize you missed until you started watching it again?
Ooh, okay. Good question. So to be clear, like I never think I fully went out of anime watching, because even though I stopped watching the weekly kind of anime series, I still kept up with movies. I kept up with a lot of anime movies, and like it's always, you don't know what to do. You rewatch Porco Rosso, or you rewatch another like Miyazaki movie. It's always really, really nice. So what I did miss, though, when I got back into anime was just, honestly, it's going to sound so basic. Everything. The music's amazing. The visuals are amazing. The characters are, I don't know. It's just something that you're able to suspend your disbelief in such a way that I don't always get from TV shows. And I think that's also because I'm not somebody that can recognize voice acting really well. There's people where they hear a voice actor and they know every other thing they've done. I'm like that with actors, where I have a hard time seeing real Hollywood actors in other roles. But with anime, I will fully suspend disbelief and see everybody in their role. And it's just a way to craft worlds and stories. Everything is so detailed, and I don't know. I think just the suspension of disbelief I'm able to get with anime is so above anything I'm able to get from a movie or from a TV show.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I would wholeheartedly agree.
I think it's great that you can't recognize voices.
The voice acting.
I know that during
Robert Pattinson and in the Boy in the Hair, and I was like, what? He was in that?
Yeah.
No, I had this with Western cartoons, though, the other day, because during the Thanksgiving Day parade, they had SpongeBob and stuff, and then they had Patchy the Pirate in the car or whatever, and I did not realize that Patchy the Pirate was played by SpongeBob's voice actor.
You didn't know that?
Really?
Wait, what?
Yes!
So I
Yes!
but
My
that's
mind
like
just
a
got
very
blown.
similar thing where it was like, I never knew that. And I know there are plenty of people out there who are the same way, because we always see comments where people are commenting about English voice actors and English dubs, because we announce the voice cast for those.
Yeah.
And they're always like, wow, using the same 5 voice actors, blah, which we don't. We we have a great infographic. We use hundreds of voice actors every year. But it's so funny because as somebody who can recognize Japanese voice actors, like, Natsuki Hane is in every show. Like, Amen's in every show. So it's just so funny.
It's one of those things with voice acting too, where it goes so much deeper than that. And we're not going to have a whole discussion about voice acting, but there's also like different laws that apply and like how to be in voice acting. There's also a standard of work. There's also the idea that, you need to deliver lines in a certain way. Not everybody can do, like, I get this sometimes on stream when people go, I like your voice, you should be a voice actor. No, there is so much work that goes into being a voice actor that people don't really recognize or realize.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit harder than that, but I can imagine how it looks like from the other side, where you think, oh, this person's in so much stuff. Yeah, that's their job, right? It's like saying, oh, Beyonce sings so many songs. Yeah, that's her job. That's why she's had like 25 albums, right? Like
Beyonce again? Yes, that is her job to make music.
Imagine saying, oh my God, another video by my favorite YouTuber that uploads daily. Gosh, when is he going to stop uploading daily? Well, no, that's his job, right?
Right.
But for some reason with voice actors, like people have this, they're in another role. Yeah, that's how it works, right? Like movie actors are also in other roles.
Right.
Yeah. So you're like, congratulations, they're doing their job.
They're doing their job, right?
They're doing what they're getting paid to do.
It's a hyper specialized job that takes a lot of training, that takes a lot of work, that takes a lot. And again, I completely understand how it looks like from the other side, but this is why I think these conversations are important to have of, hey, you don't really say this when it comes to, Beyonce or PewDiePie or anybody else. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the one piece of advice that I've always
The
heard
one
from voice
piece?
actors-
One Piece?
I found it, everybody.
Anime moment.
The one thing that all voice actors the one thing that all voice actors say whenever they're asked, anybody asks them like, "Ooh, what should I do to be a voice actor or something?" And they're like, everybody talks about voice acting, but you need to focus on the acting
part of it.
Because they are actors.
Yeah.
And I think that's so often overlooked. So
I agree.
Agreed.
I agree.
Especially like when we had like Neil Newbon on, like he was like, I prefer to just be called an actor here because, you know, there's so much physicality. And then also when you put like mocap into things.
Oh,
like,
with the games.
It adds a whole other element. So,
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, like when I kind of was in my anime lull, like I think for me it was the community aspect of it. Especially like you know, just as an example, like I love Gundam. And there's nothing about like being a Gundam fan and talking to other Gundam fans because, you know, we all have our favorite mobile suits, we have our own favorite series, and then like you have the Gunpla element. And then when you kind of like silo yourself off, you're just kind of like, I don't have anybody to talk giant robots with. So
you bring up an amazing point where it's like we want to keep our community an open, welcome, like place for people to be, and like it's just not going to be that if you're like you're not an anime fan if you haven't seen XYZ. It just can never be that.
I actually think this is kind of what made maybe me and a lot of older people more casual anime fans as well. And this is going to be a little bit of a tangent, but initially when I was into anime, I had to watch all the anime that was currently coming out in order to be a part of these conversations on the forums or with like my two friends that watched anime, right? Now I can go on Twitter and read people talking about an anime. I can go on TikTok and watch people talk about an anime. I can go on YouTube and see people talk about anime in a way that I don't really feel the urgency anymore to have to keep up every week with the stuff. And now that there's just in general more anime content, I can go into the hyper niche, right? I can find somebody talking about Nana or Yorimoy or Spy X Family or whatever I'm really into. And I do feel like that's probably also, it's good, right? Because it means that the medium's grown, that the content around it has grown. But because of that, I also don't feel as bad if I miss out on what's happening as often because I can always kind of catch up later in a way that I feel we just weren't able to 25 years ago.
Right.
And that's also what kind of gets, it's good, right? It's good for everything. Yeah. But because of that, it also means I'm not having to keep up so much every time.
So as somebody who is, you know, where you are in your anime watching journey, what anime would you recommend for fans who are wanting to come back to the
I'm excited for this.
So I think this one will have to put all our heads together because I'll give you all examples of anime that I watched. I actually wrote them down that I watched during quarantine that got me back into anime. But for example, some of the shorter ones like Cyberpunk Edge Runners or Carol and Tuesday, which is a really sweet like anime where they're making music, these two girls, and it's so cute. Spy X Family was a big one, right? Where Spy X Family is really easy to get into. It's easy to digest. I really loved the webtoon for Tower of God. So I watched Tower of God as well. Yorimoy, or A Place Further Than the Universe, where it's about these girls that go on a trip to Antarctica. It's so cute.
So good. It's adorable.
But then it would depend, right? What is out lately that would be so good to see? I mean,
I'd say I'm trying to think, if it's somebody who's let's say a lapsed anime viewer where they've watched in the past, they're not watching too much anymore. I think The Apothecary Diaries is really
something that was attention grabbing.
Friedman is one that everybody's been really talking about.
Friedman's an easy watch because it's in that slice of life. You get some action-y bits. Like it gives you enough.
And if you're in nerd culture in any way, it touches those different aspects. Like if you're into tabletop gaming, like D&D and stuff, or video, like fantasy video games or fantasy novels or whatever, or even like Lord of the Rings. Like if you loved Lord of the Rings as a kid and like you lapsed from anime and you want to like get back into something, it's very familiar territory.
Ranking of Kings is always going to be one that I recommend to people that are like, again, falling out, want to get back in because it covers so many bases and it's like just such a beautiful story and your main character just can only emote like there's a second person kind of narrating us through the story with Boji. So I think, I always think Ranking of Kings is a good one because it gives you so much, I think, of what current anime is.
And it's completed, right?
And it's complete, yeah. So there's
which is also good for those of us with less time.
I find myself recommending Full Metal Alchemist to people like more and more. Like as I've gotten like older, and people are like, "Oh, what should I watch?" I was like, "You should probably just watch Full Metal Brotherhood."
So like talking about like a lapsed viewer, what is like the today equivalent of like a Full Metal Alchemist?
Yeah. Oh, great question. What is the
I feel like that was
today equivalent of like
narrative.
FLCL, Samurai Champloo.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Maybe even Chainsaw Man?
Oh.
A little
Chainsaw Man was pretty good.
I just worry that if you're trying to recommend Chainsaw Man to somebody, I guess it depends on if they like gory stuff.
Yeah,
If
I
you
was
like
going to say,
Tarantino,
if it doesn't matter to you, yeah.
Oh man, I'm trying to.
That is actually, I mean, Crunchyroll, that would be a great list to put out. You know, let's come out with these like 10 big anime that, you know, what would be today's somewhat equivalent that you would recommend to somebody to watch?
The New Age Rex.
Like if somebody tells you, I love Rurouni Kenshin, what are you telling them? Right?
Yeah.
That is actually such a good way to try and, And for anybody listening, whether you're listening on YouTube or other platforms, let us know. What do you think is the today equivalent of some really big popular anime from 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Yeah, write in on the Crunchyroll
did our job for us. Look at that.
The comments. And
Well, it's not about doing your job for you, but it's like, this is something I'm trying to get better at. We have access to so many people who also want to be a part of this discussion. Let's bring them in. Hey, I love Black Lagoon. What do I watch? I want a little bit of gun violence. I want a hot I woman in there. I want pirates. What do I?
Yep.
Oh my God, they're gonna say One Piece, aren't they?
I want pirates.
There's not enough anime with pirates.
There's
anymore.
not.
Yeah.
But Matara, you also brought up a good point too, where you're saying like if people are fans of a certain TV show, like put that in there too. Like if you're, if you watch Cross and you're like, I want to have an anime that was like Cross or like CSI or whatever, like
Severance.
Put that in there and like, and we'll maybe
you like Arrested Development. May I recommend So Long, Mr. Despair, Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei. You'll love it.
And maybe we'll like, you guys will put them in there. We'll like look at it and we'll have the little brain trust to come together and we'll start giving, Recs based off of, stuff you liked and, you're trying to come back to. So
absolutely.
Sounds great to me. Great group activity.
It is hard because I think about it. What I've always done for anime recommendation, I've always asked people what anime they liked. And then I tried to kind of either go very similar or go slightly different. And I'll give you the big example I'd give. If people would tell me they like Gundam, but they want to try to get into something a little bit darker, I'd say watch Code Geass. And then if they told me, oh, I like Death Note, but I feel like I need a little bit more action, I'd say watch Code Geass. Right? Where it's like, you just kind of have to find the links between anime, maybe.
The answer is always Code Geass.
The answer is just watch Code Geass.
If somebody asked you about anime 15 years ago, it was Code Geass the answer. I think so.
Long torsos, long legs, baby.
Yep.
The longest torso in anime.
It's fine.
Well, I feel like Clamp has them beat as well with the long necks.
Yeah.
And
True.
Yeah.
Clamp loves them some torso.
Well, thank you so much, Matara, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I hope for everybody who was listening that this was helpful.
Yeah.
We've all kind of been there, and so us talking about it was really great to hear.
Yeah. And I would love to know from everybody listening what, number one, you're watching currently. If you got out of anime, what got you back in? Because whatever you're saying, it could really help other people also get back into anime. So help us help each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and just like making the community a welcoming place, like because it can be intimidating to like jump back into something that you've put down for however many years,
Yeah.
So
especially if you lapsed.
But yeah, this was such a pleasure. Thank you again so much for joining us. This was like a great discussion, and we'd love to have you back on again sometime.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
Yay, it was great yapping about anime with y'all. Big pleasure.
Yes, of course, the yap.
The yap.
The yap. It's what the children say now when we're talking. We're yapping.
The certified yappers.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to plug?
Is there anything I want to plug? watch Gintama. It's my
2025, I will do it.
I do have a real plug. My favorite anime of all time is an anime that is not very super well known. It's called Mononoke, not Princess Mononoke. Mononoke. I think it's like a 12 episode. It's a horror anime, but it's so colorful. It's so beautiful. It's one of the most like beautiful but smart anime, and I really recommend it. Mononoke. Yeah. That's my plug.
It is gorgeous. Like it's very,
so
very
beautiful.
Unique in the animation style. That's a
Please watch Mononoke. That's my plug.
That's the plug. I have to add it to the list.
Yeah.
Yes, but thank you again.
Thank you again.
So much.
This was fantastic.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of The Anime Effect, brought to you by Crunchyroll and Sony Music Entertainment.
Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Yep, I did not read that line. Thank you for catching that.
The Anime Effect is hosted by me, Haley Wisden, LeAlec Murray, Leah President, and Nicholas Friedman. We are executive produced by Jonathan Hirsch, Joanna Clay, and Nicholas Friedman. Our lead producer is Kyla Carnero, and our associate producer is Zoe Kolkin. Vince Garza filmed and Pixelworks edited this video. Our head of production is Sammy Allison. Special thanks to Carla Solorzano, Tamika Balance Class. We'll be back next week, of course, with even more anime, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Absolutely. See you then.
Bye.